It's Sunday, May 9th, 2021. So much happening in this world, ladies and gentlemen. So much to talk about. Before we get started, please give this video a thumbs up. Share this video with everyone that you know, that you don't know. And if you really want to support this channel, and even if you hate this channel, please subscribe and hit that bell notification down below. Also, make sure you come over to my Patreon channel. If you're having a hard time finding it, go to my website. The link is down below in the description box, jeremiahbabe.com. Go to the website. You'll see Patreon right there. Click on it. It will take you right to Patreon. You can sign up. It's $3 a month. Check it out. It really helps to support this channel, helps to support the message. And there's a lot of good information on that channel, things that we can speak about a little bit more openly. But without further ado, let's talk about what is happening right now. We got some very, very big news, a lot of things to talk about. Most of you have heard about this cyber attack that occurred on Friday. I want to talk about this. It's very important, and there's some points I want to make about this. Cyber attack shuts down top U.S. fuel pipeline. And why I bring this up and why I want to talk about it is the system's fragile, ladies and gentlemen. Your money is literally digital at this point. Everybody uses a card. Everybody's using credit cards, debit cards. People are using cryptocurrencies. Everybody has their investments, their portfolios on a screen. And so we're very digital. This is the digital age, right? And yet it is so fragile, and it can be shut off like that, just like this pipeline was. The largest gasoline pipeline on the East Coast and the U.S. in general was shut down on Friday after its operators struggled to contain a cyber attack which threatened its systems. The 5,500-mile Colonial pipeline, which is the single largest refined products pipeline in the United States, halted transport as the company was forced to take certain systems offline to contain the threat. Ask yourself, how safe is your money? Can somebody access your accounts into your bank accounts, into your investments, into your cryptos? It's very, very easy. We're in a time in life, a period in life now where we're going to see more cyber attacks and we're going to see more cyber crime. And if you don't hold it, you do not own it. And I'm not saying pull all your investments out, get rid of all your cryptos, get all your money out of the bank, even though I keep very, very little money in the bank. What I am saying is you better have money you can get to, and you better have assets, real assets that you can hold, that you can get to. Because if this can happen to a company like this, Colonial Pipeline, it can happen to any one of us right here. So again, are the banks that safe? Are the investment companies that safe? Are the cryptos that safe when they can be hacked so quickly? The pipeline accounts for over 2.5 million barrels per day in gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel. Makes up 45% of all the East Coast fuel supply. If the closure persists, gas prices will soar higher than they are right now. So as I read this article to you, what do you think? Please comment down below. I believe we're much more vulnerable than we think. I think that we relied so much on the digital system, so much on computers, that we've really become very, very vulnerable now to cyber crime, cyber attacks. What if a grid goes down? How would you go out and buy food today if the grid went down right now? What would you do? Could you use your cryptos? No, you couldn't. You'd have to use cash. And this is why it's so imperative that even though cash is devaluing, cash is getting destroyed by inflation, you still got to have some cash in your portfolio. You still got to have a cash reserve for emergency, because it's still going to have its place. And in the case of an emergency, of a cyber attack or a grid going down, you must have cash. And I believe even gold, even silver will be usable if a grid went down or if we had a major cyber attack. Dogecoin plunges nearly 30% during Elon Musk's SNL appearance. Please comment down below. What do you think about that? I just checked it a little while ago. It's down about 20%, but just think 20, 30% like that. The volatility with this is absolutely insane. The hedge today, consumer credit explodes higher as Americans rediscover their love for credit cards. Well, it's not just the love, it's the dependency, it's the addiction now, but more so the dependency now as the stimulus money is all being spent and people now are going back to using credit cards as a crutch. Lending standards in April for credit cards and auto loans were the loosest on record in April. In March, consumer aggregate credit surged by $25.8 billion. Here we go again, people spending and using money they don't even have, dependent on government subsidies, dependent on the credit cards. Non-revolving credit, student loan debt, and auto loans continued to ramp higher, increasing by $19.4 billion in March, the most since June of 2020. Revolving credit, like credit cards, this debt surged in February by $8 billion. March, it was up $6.4 billion. And we're going to see April and May numbers just completely explode as people now are running out of money again. And if the government cannot get them, another, $1,400 or another $2,000 or whatever it's going to be, guess what? They're going to be turning back to the credit cards. Article today on the Wall Street Journal, prices rising everywhere you look. Look at the cost of fuel. Look at the cost of rent, the cost of a house, the cost of a 2x4, the cost of plywood, the cost of a head of lettuce, the cost of a T-bone steak, chicken, pork. It's all going through the roof. Again, we talked about this shrinkflation, Costco shrinking the amount of Scott towels that you get in a package, yet raising the price 14%. Consumer prices jumped 2.6% in the year ended March. And in this article on the Wall Street Journal, costs for apples are up 10 to 20% depending on the variety. Think about that. In the article, it goes on to say someone was saying that they bought a graphics card for their computer in February for $400. A similar graphics card right now in May is $1,000. Somebody else in the article said that they had lunch at one of their favorite restaurants in Los Angeles, and it was just a lunch place. The lunch platter was $4 more than it was a year ago. The cost of living, ladies and gentlemen, is getting out of control, and I don't know how people are doing it. I don't know how they're going to do it. When the bills come due, when the rents and the mortgages become due after the moratoriums and forbearances expire, I don't know what people are going to do. I looked at an article by Michael Snyder. It came out a few days ago. What would you do when inflation forces U.S. households to spend 40% of their incomes on food? And right now, I think probably most of America right now is spending probably 40%, maybe 50% just on their rent or their mortgage right now. This is where we're at, where half your money is just going to a rent payment or a mortgage payment. What's going to happen when the other half just goes to paying food? How do you pay your bills? How do you pay the air conditioning, the heat, the utilities? How do you pay for the flat tire? How do you pay to put gas in your car when half your money is going to go to rent or mortgage payment and the other half is just going to go to food? How are people going to do this? I don't get it. There's a lot of threats out there, ladies and gentlemen. Cyberattacks, and the other one's inflation. This inflation is not going to go away. It's going to get much, much worse. And people don't see it. They continue to gamble in this fraudulent stock market. They're gambling in these Ponzi scheme cryptocurrencies. It's a really scary time, yet it's a very exciting time. It's a time of the unknown, and I don't know how it's all going to play out, but all I know is things will get much worse before they even begin to get better. And we're watching this destruction, death by 1,000 cuts, but one of these cuts is going to be catastrophic, and then things are going to really, really accelerate. This has just been a slow kill. But things are going to accelerate. Something will trigger that. And you got to ask yourself, what are you doing today to prepare for it? Do you have the cash in case a grid goes down, in case there's a cyber attack with the economic system or the markets? Are you prepared for that? Do you have the food, the water, the security? Do you have all that put away? Did you do anything to prepare over the weekend to make things a little bit safer for you and your family? And this isn't to scare anybody, but this is to just wake you up and to make you think for yourself that you cannot depend on the police, you can't depend on the government, don't depend on your bank, don't depend on a politician. You're going to have to depend on you. And when you wake up one day and things begin to unravel, it's going to be easy to play the blame game and point fingers whose fault it is, but that's not going to matter. What's going to matter is, can you eat today? Do you have water? Can you protect yourself, protect your family? Can you do a transaction? Can you go to the store and buy something? Most people will go out and worry about buying toilet paper. That will be the least most important thing you need to be worrying about is toilet paper. So right now, before you're fighting the crowds, the long lines, the empty store shelves, go out and go buy a few cans of food today. Go buy some emergency food. Go buy a case of water. Go buy this stuff while it's available, and you're not having to fight the long lines and the empty shelves. And I can't stress it enough, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot stress it enough. But when I just see how vulnerable the system is, and we don't know who caused this cyber attack, but what we do know, it's going to be very costly. We're probably going to see prices at the pump soar. But what's next? Is it going to be a JP Morgan? Is it going to be your bank? Is it going to be some investment company? Is it going to be your 401k? Is it going to be your credit card company? What could be hit next by a cyber attack? Could it be the entire country? Who knows? But the question is, when you wake up one morning and that event occurs, you can blame whoever you want. It doesn't matter. The question is, can you now survive and get through it? How long could we be down? Could we be down a day, a week, a month? How long are you prepared to deal with an event like this, an emergency? Most people are not prepared at all. Everything they have is on a computer. Their whole life is on a computer. And I think that's a big mistake. Again, I'm not telling anybody to, sell everything that they have, get out of the markets, shut your computers off. Not at all. What I am saying is be cautious, be diversified, have money that you can get to, have some assets that you can physically get to in a time of emergency. Don't keep all your eggs in one basket, and don't keep all your money in the bank. It's vulnerable. The system is vulnerable, and we put way, way too much faith that all this is safe and secure. Cyber attacks, inflation, economic collapse, market collapse, real estate collapse. There is a lot of threats out there, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of threats, and you need to be ready because the bubbles are going to pop one of these days. And the question is, will you be ready? A cyber attack hits your bank, hits the markets. Will you be ready? Can you survive? Or will you be wiped out? So again, if it can happen to an oil company of this magnitude, if it can shut down 45% of the energy supply on the East Coast, more than likely it can happen to any one of us. So make sure that you have an emergency plan to deal with the worst case scenarios because they're coming. It's out there. This is, again, use this as a reminder, use this as a sign, as a warning that there's some very, very unsavory characters out there, and there's people with bad intentions, maybe countries with bad intentions. And anything is possible in 2021. Remember, anything is possible. Nothing is safe. But all we can do is make things as safe as possible and make them safer than they are right now. And that's why I'm a big believer. If you don't hold it, you don't own it. So make sure that you're holding something somewhere that you can get to that's physical: cash, gold, silver, food, water, security, things like that. I'm going to leave it there today. Have a safe, pleasant rest of the weekend. We'll see what the markets do tonight into tomorrow, where all this is going. It's just really, really crazy times, ladies and gentlemen. So walk close to God and continue doing the best that you can with preparing for the worst of times, because things will get much worse before they even begin to get better.